my friends, let me say welcome again to another episode of John's Sports Corner. And I will tell you this, that with all that is going on and the weather being what it is, sometimes I'm trying to make out whether we are still in the spring or we're still in the winter. John, I don't know where you are, but I know that I am in the winter in Georgia. So you can let our listeners know and our viewers know what the weather is like on the 19th of March in these here United States. Welcome again to John Sports Corner.
Thank you so much, Trevor, and certainly a very good afternoon. Yes, Trevor, it's a what should I call it? A balmy 50 degrees outside or 50 something, and I believe it went up to about 60 yesterday. It's been in the 50s though during the day. So it's nice, but except that today now it's a little bit cloudy outside, but other than that, it's fine. You know, I work with that because the heavy coat is gone.
Okay.
But, again, a very good afternoon to our friends, family. Thank you so much for visiting John Sports Corner on the Social Bowl Media Network. Before we forward into this afternoon's Sports Roundup, family, let me again invite you into the Winner's Circle Radio store in the Social Bowl shop. And shop till you drop. There are T-shirts, there are mugs, backpacks, sorry, and certainly to top it all, it's like putting the cherry on top of the ice cream. The Great Jamaica Blue Mountain Coffee is also available in the Sosa Bone Shop, well, in the Winner's Circle Radio store. So, again, go to the shop and see what you would like and get maybe as a nice gift for the Easter coming up. And again, Easter time is bun and cheese, and that's certainly the Blue Mountain Coffee will go very well with some bun and cheese. Let's talk sports as usual. Start with some birthdays. Yesterday, Megan Tapper, Olympic medalist, the first Jamaican woman to win an Olympic medal in the 100 hurdles. Happy birthday or belated birthday, Megan. Raymond Stewart, one of our former Olympians and world champion medalists, celebrated a birthday too. West Indies women's cricket captain Hayley Matthews celebrates today. Tomorrow, Lasina Golden Clark, she celebrates a birthday. One of our former Olympians. She's also now a noted, if I may call it that, track coach. And then on Friday, one of my favorite footballers of yesteryear celebrates a birthday. They call him Ronaldinho, one of the great players of yesteryear. Yes, and I'm so sorry. I was so sorry when he retired from football. Brianna Williams, Olympian and world champion medalist, celebrates a birthday also on Friday. She is also the double under-20 gold medalist when she won the 100 and 200 a couple of years ago. On Saturday, Lauren Silver, reggae girl, celebrates a birthday. On Monday, Debbie Ann Paris, former Olympian, celebrates. Cricket, lovely cricket. That's where we start this afternoon. And the women's cricket tournament to qualify 2 teams for the World Cup in India later this year, bowls off next month in Pakistan. West Indies women will be joined by Bangladesh, Ireland, Scotland, Thailand, and host country Pakistan in the qualifier. Windies women will open against Scotland on the 9th of April. Then they take on Ireland on the 11th, Pakistan on the 14th, Bangladesh on the 17th, and close against Thailand on April 19th. Cricket West Indies 4-day regional tournament round 6 resumes on April 2nd after a 2-week break. At the Sir Frank Worrell Memorial Ground, the combined campuses and colleges will be playing the West Indies Academy. At Warner Park, Leeward's Hurricanes take on the Guyana Harpy Eagles. At the Darren Sammy National Stadium, Windward's Volcanoes play Barbados Pride, and at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy, Trinidad and Tobago Red Force will play the Jamaica Scorpions. The Red Force will lose Jaden Seals and Anderson Phillip to English County Championship Cricket for the round 6. Let us just look at some stats before I move on in the 4-day regional and batting first. Jason Mohammed leads the batting out of Trinidad and Tobago with 519 runs. John Campbell, Jamaica, 402 runs, followed by Jewel Andrew of the Leewards, 390 runs. Joshua De Silva, Trinidad and Tobago, 379 runs. Jamar Hamilton, 374 runs out of the Leewards Hurricanes. And Carlton Boyne Tuckett, West Indies Academy, with 362 runs. On the bowling side, Harry Peer way out in front with 31 wickets, leading all bowlers for Trinidad and Tobago Red Force. He is followed by Virasamy Pramod, the Guyana Harpy Eagles, 26 wickets. Joshua Bishop, West Indies Academy, 21 wickets. Johan Lane, West Indies Academy, and Ronaldo Ali Mohammed each have 20 wickets. Ronaldo Ali Mohammed out of the Guyana Harpy Eagles. Akeem Jordan, combined campuses and colleges, and Rakeem Cornwall, Leewards Hurricanes, both have 19 wickets. Cricket West Indies getting ready to launch their new T20 tournament called the West Indies Breakout League to promote and harness talent within the Caribbean region. The league is scheduled to run from April 25th to May 10th at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy. The league will have 6 teams participating in a total of 17 matches. The event is open to all players under 30 and who have played at least 40 List A 2020s, but have yet to reach the international cap of 10 matches. The teams set to compete in the Breakout League are Barbados Pelicans, Guyana Rainforest Rangers, Jamaica Titans, Leeward Island Thunder, Trinidad and Tobago Legions, and the Windward's Infernos. April 25th, the Guyana Rainforest Rangers will open against the Windward Islands Infernos, and then the Trinidad and Tobago Legions take on Barbados Pelicans in the doubleheader. India Masters rolled past West Indies Masters by 6 wickets in the Masters League final on Sunday. West Indies Masters 148 for 7 from their 20 overs. Lendl Simmons 57, Dwayne Smith 45, Vinay Kumar 3 for 26 from 4 overs. Shabazz Nadeem 2 for 12 from 4. India Masters 149 for 4 from 17.1 overs. Abati Rayudu 74, Sachin Tendulkar 25, Ashley Nurse 2 for 22 from 3.1 overs for the West Indies Masters. And the newly minted Michael Holdings Senior Cup Cricket Competition bowled off in Jamaica over the weekend. And let me run through their several scores, so I'll just run through them. St. Mary Cricket Association defeated GC Foster College by an innings and 70 runs. GC Foster College 200 and 130. St. Mary 400 for 3 declared. Alwyn Williams, 241, his maiden double century. Clarendon Cricket Association defeated St. Catherine Cricket Association by an innings and 66 runs. The Clarendon Cricket Association, 216 for 9, declared. St. Catherine Cricket Association, 150 for 9. I understand that when the St. Catherine Cricket Association lost that 9th wicket, Trevor, and it is, as far as I'm concerned, terrible that the players walked off the field because they didn't want to be bowled out.
Oh, wow.
Anyway.
And they lost the game.
Well, they lost the game.
But they never wanted to be bowled
by
out.
an innings and 66 runs. Anyway, UWI and St. Catherine Cricket Club ended in a draw, with St. Catherine taking first innings points. UWI 210 and 117 for 3. The Saints 381 for 5 declared. Kensington Cricket Club defeated neighbours Lucas Cricket Club by an innings and 57 runs. Lucas 107 and 151. Kensington 315. Some of Jamaica's best cricketers have come out of these two clubs. And one comes to mind, Sir Lawrence of Sabina is one. Eastern Bull Matt Morris is another. But some great cricketers have come out of these clubs, Trevor. Anyway, Kingston Cricket Club by an innings and 4 runs over Boys Town. Kingston Cricket Club 284 for 6 declared. Boys Town 139 for 9 and 141. St. Elizabeth Cricket Association in a 3-wicket win over Manchester Cricket Association. Manchester 71 for 9 and 287. St. Elizabeth 199 and 160 for 7. Westmoreland Cricket Association by 9 wickets over St. James Cricket Association. Westmoreland 256 for 9 and 43 for 1. St. James 140 and 157. Portland Cricket Association and the St. Anne Cricket Association in a drawn game, with Portland getting first innings points. St. Anne 209 and 200 for 8 declared. Portland 224 and 154 for 4. Jamaica Defence Force by an innings and 128 runs over St. Thomas Cricket Association. The Defence Force 388 for 6 declared. St. Thomas 141 and 119. Melbourne Cricket Club by an innings and 78 runs over Kingston and St. Andrew Cricket Association. Kingston and St. Andrew Cricket Association 107 and 119. Melbourne 304 for 2 declared. Moving along to track and field, there'll be a new IOC president as Thomas Bach is stepping down after 12 years at the helm. There are 7 candidates vying for the Olympic top job starting Tuesday, which today, March 18th, yesterday, March 18th, actually. World Athletics President Sebastian Coe, who is promising a more inclusive approach to governance. Prince Faisal Al Hussein of Jordan has been an IOC board member since 2012. David Lapertien, president of French National Olympic and Sports Committee and president of the International Cycling Union. There's also Johan Elias, a Swedish British businessman and president of the International Ski Federation, and Spaniard Juan Antonio Samaranch Jr., perhaps, I think, the weakest of the candidates, Trevor. There is Marinari Watanabe, Japanese businessman and president of the International Gymnastics Federation. And last but certainly not least, Christy Coventry, former Zimbabwe swimmer and IOC member and the only woman in the presidential race. Loss for Jamaica's hammer thrower Nayoka Cummins. The Court of Arbitration for Sport dismissed her appeal against World Athletics' decision to exclude her from the Paris Olympic Games. The ruling issued said the Court of Arbitration for Sports had no jurisdiction to entertain the appeal. She has no further recourse.
Wow.
In other words, that ruling is finale.
Whether she was right or wrong.
Wrong. That ruling is finale.
Wow.
Probably went to the wrong source for recourse, but that's how life is, eh? There's a clash now between Jamaica National Championship set for June 26th through the 29th, and the final leg of Grand Slam Track Series in LA set for June 27th through the 29th. The clash backs Jamaican athletes signed to Grand Slam Track in a corner. While there are assurances that athletes signed to Grand Slam Track will not be penalized if they choose to run the national championships, it does become a question of going after significant dollars in the Grand Slam Track Series or trying to make Jamaica World Championship team to the Tokyo World Championships for the athlete. According to the J3's president, Garth Gale, the Jamaica National Championships date was set before Grand Slam Track finalized theirs. If that is so, Trevor, why would Grand Slam Track set their date to clash with Jamaica National Championships? Was it deliberate? Why did they set their date in, say, mid-July that would fall between Jamaica's national championships and the U.S. national championships?
Failure to communicate, John. Failure to communicate.
But they certainly know about the Jamaica national championships. So the question again is, why would they set their final series to clash with the Jamaica national championships?
Well, maybe we need to invite somebody to come and explain it to us, John, since the question is out there unanswered.
Yeah. And I think I can get someone to speak a little bit about it, Trevor.
Yes.
So we'll see.
There might be an axe in the fire, axe to grind.
Moving right along. The J3As have named their squad for World Athletics Indoor Championships in Nanjing, China, scheduled for March 21st through the 23rd. Let's go through the women first. In the 60 meters, it's Jodianne Williams and Natasha Morrison. In the 60-meter hurdles, Akira Nugent and Amoy Brown. In the 400 meters, Leah Anderson, Joan Reed, and Genevieve Russell as a reserve. In the shot put, Lydrika Cameron. The men, in the 60 meters, Rohan Watson and Nishon Ebanks, with Travis Williams as reserve. 60-meter hurdles, Jerome Campbell and Demario Prince. In the 400 meters, it's Roisin McDonald. Now the 4x4 meter relay for men is the team is Roisin McDonald, Jashona Davis, Demar Francis, Therese Roden, and Kemar Farquharson. High jump, Romaine Beckford and Raymond Richards. Long jump, Tajay Gale and Wayne Pinnock. While in triple jump, we have Jordan Scott. In shot put, Olympic bronze medalist Rajendra Campbell. Last year's Olympic Games, Trevor, field eventers could very well lead our medal table once more.
Mm.
Or should I say, like last year's Olympic Games.
Yes.
Morris Wilson is the team leader, Trevor Campbell, manager, while the coaches are Paul Francis and Kerry Lee Ricketts.
Mhm.
Now, Olympic 100-meter silver medalist Kishane Thompson reportedly picked up a training injury and so was unable or unavailable for selection.
Mm.
I also thought Akeem would have been on the plane. Akeem Blake actually would have been on the plane. So too at least one of the Clayton twins. However, the squad was selected based on athletes who made themselves available for the indoor meet.
Mhm.
But you know what, Trevor? To me, indoor world championship is can I say, a waste of energy?
Warm up.
And while athletes get a chance to win medals at a world event, the outdoor championships is really what counts.
Yes.
Mark you, if I got selected to an indoor team, I certainly would go.
Well, John, if they're running most of their indoor meets in the winter in the north, in areas where the weather was not conducive to outdoor activities, then
Mhm.
probably it would have far more, energy around it.
Impact, yeah. And
Yes.
there are really a lot of indoor meets here in the US between November, December, January, February.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, I guess, and as you say, in the countries, um, in the land of snows, or the lands of snow, indoor is what probably dictates.
It is strange
Anyway,
that when you look at Denver, Colorado, and the team that has to go and play up in Denver, you know, the altitude that the resident team in Denver is accustomed to versus a visiting team. Many teams just don't win. Many visiting teams just don't win in Denver, John.
anyway, Trevor, former Edwin Allen standout Kevona Davis graduated from the University of Texas last year after 4, I would dare to say, injury-riddled years.
Oh,
She just seemed to have come down with an injury. She in high school she was one of the outstanding athletes. But going to college, I don't know if those coaches didn't know how to handle her, but she always seemed to have been not at her best physically. Anyway, in a surprise move, she left Texas for Maryland, where she will come under the guidance of Coach Joe Lee. And Coach Joe Lee coaches the U.S., should I call him phenom or sensation, Quincy Wilson, who won Olympic gold with the U.S. 4x4 relay team in Paris last year. You should. The first time I saw him actually was at the Penn Relays last year, Trevor. He's just phenomenal.
okay.
He's, you know, he should not be running against those teenagers. He's just too
I
good for them.
Well, I hope that, as you said, since she leaves Texas and she's coming to the east, John, which she
Mhm.
might have access to some yellow yam.
Very well, true, Trevor. Anyway, Grand Slam track, we mentioned them about earlier with the clash with the Jamaica National Championships. But Grand Slam track is offering to have the fastest athletes at champs run the 100, 200, 400 against each other at
Mm,
the inaugural Grand Slam meet in April in Jamaica, regardless of age. ISA
mm.
President Keith Wellington says before final details can be confirmed, it is important to ensure the health of the junior athlete is guaranteed. Grand Slam track comes just days after champs, and there's also the pen relays a couple of weeks after.
Oh, yes.
The greatest track and field meet outside of Olympic Games gets going next Tuesday at the newly resurfaced track at Jamaica's National Stadium, and they just call it Champs.
Mm.
The newly resurfaced track has now become, should I call it, Trevor, a political debate as to why so much of the surface is green. Now, some are suggesting that the cycle track should be painted orange.
Well, it all depends on the party in power, John.
Moving along to the world of football, the field of green, the CONCACAF Champions Cup, again, Inter Miami tripped up Cavalier 2 goals to zip in their second leg at Jamaica's National Stadium last week. And again, I hate to say it again, Trevor, but Cavalier represented well. And I think with a little more experience and exposure may have had a different result.
Mm.
Reports say that over 30,000 filled the stadium.
Okay.
But I learned since then, Trevor, that there were several ticket holders outside who did not get into the stadium.
You mean they sold more tickets than they could accommodate in the stadium, John?
I'm not saying that. I'm just
Or
saying
or did
there's a report that
or did
several ticket holders.
or did you have some fence climbers, John, who really never had tickets?
I don't know what happened to Trevor, but
Ju- John, I say this because I remember way back in the 70s, John, there was always an entrance and a back door.
always there was always Trevor. I tell you, yeah, or a side door.
Or a side door.
Yeah, you Anyway, the Inter Miami will now play LAFC in the quarterfinal round. And I don't know if Reggae Boys coach Steve McLaren is finally seeing what I've been saying or what we have been saying on this program all along about our local players, that the talent is there, just lacking exposure to international football.
Mhm.
He has called 9 players from the Jamaica Premier League in his 23-man squad for the CONCACAF Gold Cup qualifiers against St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Mhm.
March 21st at Arnosville, March 25th at Sabina Park.
Mhm.
The 9 local-based players are Shaquan Davis, Kyle Ming, Fitzroy Cummings, Jashawn Anglin, Sule Makala of Mount Pleasant, Richard King and Christopher Ainsworth from Cavalier, Warner Brown from Arnett Gardens, and Tyreek McGee from Phoenix United. McLaren says watching local players against Trinidad and Tobago earlier this year has given him the confidence to
Good.
select these players.
Good.
The Jamaica St. Vincent winner qualifies for this summer's Gold Cup. The team, let me just run through the squad that was named by the coach. In goal, Andre Blake, Jamali Wade, and Shaquan Davis. In defense, Ethan Pinnock, Joel Latibadir, Richard King, Amari Bell, or Amarai Bell, Kyle Ming, Christopher Ainsworth, Fitzroy Cummings, and Dexter Lembikisa. I'll get back to Mr. Latibadir, a note on Mr. Latibadir, Trevor. In midfield, Bobby Reed, Isaac Hayden, Deshaun Anglin, Sule McCullough, Casey Palmer, and Tyreek McGee. Up front, Leon Bailey, Shamar Nicholson, Demario Gray, or Demarai Gray, Kaheem Dixon, Reynaldo Cephas, and Warner Brown. Add one more player to the squad, as Demario Phillips has been called to replace Casey Palmer. Palmer recently returned to action after missing 3 months with an ankle injury and has chosen to remain with his club, Hull City, as he works on returning to full fitness. Bear in mind that several key players are missing through injury. I don't know if that is why the coach has turned to so many local players, but that list includes Mason Holgate, who is set to have surgery on an injured toe, Mikel Antonio, who we know met in that horrific accident in December, Damian Lowe, excused for personal reasons, but remains on standby for the second match.
Okay.
And I mentioned Joy Latibadir, Trevor. And this has nothing to do with football now, but as a youngster growing up, I remember when Easter came around, there was this lady by the name of Latibadir who used to make is the most delicious Easter buns or buns period I have tasted.
Okay.
So every year, my mom used to order from her Easter buns. And when I started to work, I have my own money. I used to give my mom, when Easter came, I used to give my mom extra money to buy extra Easter buns. So that name, Latibadir.
Is she still making buns, John?
You know, Trevor, I absolutely don't know. She's probably gone on to glory now because I was a youngster then, you know.
Okay.
And I don't know if her siblings have taken up and I probably and I don't even know if I could find out, but maybe, you know, we'll see. Maybe one day I'll check on it.
Probably if they save that recipe there, you know, they probably have a bun mine.
Yeah. But you know, talking about Mikel Antonio Trevor and that horrific car accident in December, he's on the mend and continuing his rehab.
Okay.
But it will be a grueling journey back to fitness, I believe, much less playing once more in the English Premier League. He broke the femur bone in 4 places.
Oh.
And doctors say it will take 6 to 12 months before it starts healing properly. He was actually on his way home, we understand now, from training when he somehow lost control of his Ferrari and hit a tree. Earlier reports said he was airlifted to the hospital, but Antonio now says that's not so. that it was too windy for the helicopter to take off,
Oh, boy.
and he went by ambulance to the hospital. But the good news, Michael Antonio is alive.
Oh, yes. Oh.
And while he mentioned he loved sports cars, he has said no, that no more sports cars. Neymar, who was recently called back to the Brazilian national team for the World Cup qualifiers against Colombia and Argentina, is back on the shelf after picking up a muscle injury. He has been replaced by teenager Endrick in the squad. Endrick has 13 senior appearances for Brazil, scoring 3 goals thus far. Moving on to Jamaica Premier League, and there are some games today, some midweek games. Portmore takes on Harbourview. Waterhouse plays Veer. Dunby Holding against Tivoli. Then tomorrow, Chapelton Maroons plays Humble Lion, and Montego Bay United against Mullines United. Now, last weekend's games. Cavalier 1 goal to zip over Dunby Holding as they return to the Premier League. Portmore 1 zip over Veer United. Tivoli squeezed by Waterhouse 3 goals to 2. Humble Lion 1 zip over Harbourview. Mullines and Chapelton Maroons in a 1-1 stalemate. Arnett Gardens and Montego Bay United in a 2-2 stalemate. There were also midweek games last week. I'll go through those scores. Portmore 1 zip over Mount Pleasant. Tivoli 3 zip over Mullines United. Racing 3 zip over Waterhouse. Montego Bay United 2-1 over Veer United. Arnett Gardens 4-1 over Dunby Holding, and Harbourview 3 zip over Chapelton Maroons. The leading goal scorers going into today's games are Warner Brown of Arnett Gardens on 17 goals, and he has been called up for the qualifiers Reggae Boy squad. John Mara Calvin, Cavalier 14 goals. Daniel Green 12 goals. Shaquille Beckford of Mount Pleasant, and Shanil Thomas of Montego Bay United, 11 goals apiece. Jamaica Women's Premier League results. Fraser's Whip defeated Los Perfectos 7 goals to 1. Of course, you know, Fraser's Whip are the defending Women's Premier League champions. And that game was actually an early season, if you want to call it, top of the table clash.
7-1 doesn't seem like top of the table, John.
Arnett 4-1 over Mile Gully. Wi-Fi United 5-1 over Springers United. Real Moby and Proven Girls in a 3-3 stalemate, while Cavalier Ladies 2 goals to zip over UWI Women. English Premiership from the weekend, Everton and West Ham in a 1-1 stalemate. Nottingham Forest 4-2 over Ipswich. Manchester City and Brighton in a 2-2 stalemate. Wolverhampton Wanderers 2-1 over Southampton. Brentford 2-1 over Bournemouth. Arsenal 1 zip over Chelsea. Fulham 2 zip over Tottenham. And Manchester United 3 goals to zip over Leicester City. And in English League Cup final, Newcastle 2 goals to 1 over Liverpool. So Liverpool's dream of winning multiple titles this season seem to have flown through the window. However, I think they should win the English Premiership.
Okay.
Louis Buffon, 17-year-old son of the former great Italian goalkeeper Gianluigi Buffon, says his international future is with the Czech Republic rather than his dad's home country. The 17-year-old Pisa winger has been called up by the Czech under-18 side for games against England, France, and Portugal.
Mm.
The young Buffon qualifies to play for the Czech national team through his mom, model Elena Saradova.
I guess you can say never like his father, John.
Well, actually, I didn't say this though, Trevor, but I think his dad has encouraged him to play for the Czech Republic.
Okay.
He probably has more opportunity there.
Okay.
And, you know, maybe if he tried to make the Italian team, Trevor, I mean, his father, although his father was a goalkeeper, his father was such a great player. People might be looking for the son now to be the great player for Italy. And, that psychological impact.
Yes,
So
well,
it might be better for him to play for another country.
we do have a bad habit of saying the son following his father's footsteps,
You
John.
know? And there's very few sons I see follow fathers who are great athletes, I mean, I don't know if I can count them on one hand. Can't think of any, I mean, Bobby Bonds was a great baseball player, and Barry Bonds followed him.
Yes,
And what's his name used to play center field?
I think you have more in basketball than most of the other sports. A lot of the other of the name brand athletes, so they have their sons playing ball in college and then playing, LeBron James
But I can't think of any, Trevor.
LeBron
To come to
James,
think of it.
LeBron James, Stephen
Don't say,
Curry, Stephen Curry.
yeah, but LeBron James' son ain't no good, Trevor.
He's with the Lakers, John.
He no good.
He's a young,
He no good, Trevor.
you're questioning the Lakers' decision, John. But we have Stephen Curry, John, whose father, was an NBA player, and then
Yeah, he was.
yes, and I have quite
But
a few.
remember, no one, Trevor, I said great players.
Oh, great.
Great players
Okay.
whose sons became also great players.
Okay. Well, yes, that
Because
DNA,
in cricket, I know in cricket you have George Headley, a great cricketer, but his son, was a son, both sons.
well,
Who else?
the DNA get watered down a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, it looks so. And I guess, it's a different time. Youngsters get interested in other things
Yes.
other than maybe cricket or football or basketball, whatever,
Yes.
that they become good at. Yeah. Anyway, let's talk some netballers. Jamaica Sunshine Girls. Latanya Wilson, Shanice Beckford, Shimona Jock, and Katie Ann Dehaney show their class in the recently concluded preseason Suncor Team Girls Cup in Adelaide. The preseason tournament won by reigning back-to-back Suncor netball champions Adelaide Thunderbirds, with Wilson named MVP. The Thunderbirds will be going after a potential three-peat, but here's the but, Trevor. The curse of Hopeful Village. No team that has won the preseason Suncor Team Girls Cup has gone on to win the Suncor Super League. Oh, by the way, the Thunderbirds won the preseason tournament without their ace defensive player, Sunshine Girl Shamira Sterling Humphrey, and shooter Romelda Aiken George. So you never know.
If they were smart, John, they would have lost the game and taken the X off their back.
Well, the curse of Hopeful Village. We shall see. Let's go across the pond, Trevor, and across the Caribbean, actually. At the 40th CONCACAF Congress hosted by St. Lucia last week, St. Lucia's Football Association President Lyndon Cooper was elected the new Caribbean Football Union president. He ran unopposed in accordance with Caribbean Football Union statutes. Cooper replaces Barbados's Randy Harris as the Caribbean Football Union president. There are 31 member associations in the Caribbean Football Union, and if they vote as a bloc, they change the leadership of CONCACAF, as when Jack Warner ruled the roost. Cooper's presidency is expected to create a stronger, more unified footballing community in the Caribbean. And I am hoping, Trevor, that those 31 members get behind this president.
Well,
Joining Cooper on the executive team as vice presidents are Michael Ricketts of Jamaica, John Krishnadath out of Suriname, Dean Dartron from Guadeloupe, and Ivan Rivera from Puerto Rico. The other members of the executive team are Glenn Etienne from Dominica, Anya James from the Bahamas, Gordon Connor from Anguilla, and Mark Wade out of Bermuda. The new leadership team will serve for a 4-year term.
I hope, John, that, it will be a clean 4-year term.
Yep. And as I say, if they vote as a bloc, Trevor, in the next CONCACAF presidential election and decide that they want a new CONCACAF president, then we'll have a new CONCACAF president.
Yes.
But if the vote is splintered, then,
Well, you know that, John, every time you come to election, money start talking, John.
money just coughed up each other. And I heard that is what has happened in Jamaica recently too, Trevor, with the elections around the corner. With the stadium track and also the lighting and the new scoreboard at Sabina Park.
Okay.
All of a sudden, the government has found the money. Now,
Well,
I wish they would find the money for the Montego Bay complex.
I wish they would find Usain Bolt's money, John.
And talking about Usain Bolt, he has given his high school, I think it's a little over $2 million contributed for their, I guess, the track and field program development. And he has given another, I think it's another 2 million or so, Trevor, that is shared up among, I think it's 4 or 5 rural schools to help with their track program. So despite the fact that he has lost, some of his money has disappeared. Maybe it's in the cloud. This cloud thing now, everything goes up in the cloud, Trevor.
He will tell you that he never lost his money because he never had it in his wallet.
Maybe it disappeared in the cloud. You know how these things work. But despite all that, he has turned around and made significant contributions to help in the development of the rural schools track and field programs.
Yeah.
And you can't, and as I said, it's great to see our successful track and field people. What Shelley and Fraser Price just did with her Woolman's High School, I think they're like 50,000 US or something like that. She contributed to them. And Asafa Powell has done his share. So it's great to see them looking back. And in football now, Leon Bailey has made a contribution to Bellevue Hospital to, it's It's great to see our athletes really stepping up to the plate.
You know, John,
Anyway, Trevor.
we might have to get some of them into politics, John, because they're more into giving than taking.
It's better to give than to receive. Trevor. Now, let me just move on. Trevor. Randy Harris, Barbados Football Association president, and now the former Caribbean Football Union president, has made history by becoming the first Barbadian to be elected to the FIFA Council. They are the main decision-making body of FIFA. They set the vision for FIFA and global football. The council is made up of 37 members, the president, 8 vice presidents, and 28 members. Sorry. Haiti's 15-year-old Emerson Lais, who plays for Jamaica Premier League team Mount Pleasant, has made history. He has been called up by Haiti Football Association to represent Haiti's senior team in an international friendly against Azerbaijan, March 22nd.
Okay.
He played key role in helping Haiti's under-17s qualify for the FIFA Under-17 World Cup later this year.
Hey.
And I think this, along with the 10 Jamaica Premier League players now who have been called up by the Jamaica coach Steve McLaren for CONCACAF Gold Cup qualifiers, speaks volumes.
Yes.
About the quality of the Jamaica Premier League now.
Yes.
St. Vincent and the Grenadine Football Association named a 30-man squad they hope will upset Jamaica in the upcoming CONCACAF Gold Cup qualifiers, March 21st and 25th. In goal, Lemos Christopher, DeAndre Abraham, Darwin Davis, and Samir Bristol. In defense, Jazzy Burnham Bob, Brandon John, Joseph Barter, Dimitri Thomas, Tristan Marshall, Najima Bergen, Andrew Johnson, Nigel Charles, Jamal York, and Courtney Franklin. In midfield, Kyle Edwards, Adine Charles, Kenija Joseph, Micah Joseph, Dale Spring, Nazil McBurnett, Bishon Edwards, Richards rather, Jaquan Glasgow, and Sherwin Alexander. While up front, Olex Anderson, Cornelius Stewart, Shaquem Adams, Stephen Peer, Azino Solomon, Orion Villox, and Garnet Leggett Wood. Grenada, we talked about them last week, getting a friendly against Russia. Well, Russia defeated them 5-0 in that friendly earlier today.
That was not very friendly, John.
Have to wonder though, Trevor, what this next story is all about. Maybe Professor Sosa Bone can explain these things to me. The Trinidad and Tobago Football Association has barred under-17 national coach Sean Cooper from coaching youth players until further notice, invoking Section 3, Article 29 of its safeguarding policy and framework. Cooper, who recently led the national under-17 team at the CONCACAF Under-17 World Cup qualifiers, is now prohibited from working with players aged 18 and under until further notice. No further details regarding the specific nature of the investigation or allegations have been released.
Well, you can say, John, that there could be anger management issues, or it could be issues where age as a defining played a defining role in the decision that was being made. Granted that 18 might be the age of consent, and therefore you are now prohibited from smoking within 40 yards of the school.
Perhaps. Let's move along. Athletics Association of Barbados named a 4-member squad for the Nanjing Indoor World Championships. Kishona Niles, the lone female in the squad, will compete in the women's 60 meters. On the men's side, Julian Ford in the 60 meters, Nicolia Kennedy in the 60-meter hurdles, Rashime Griffith in the 400 meters. Trinidad and Tobago, meanwhile, sending only 2 athletes to the Nanjing Indoor World Championship, sprinter Michelle Lee Ayi and multi-talented Tyra Gittins in the long jump. It is Gittings' first Indoor World Championship. Meanwhile, 31-year-old Jereme Richards opted out of selection to focus on Grand Slam Track Series and the Tokyo World Championships. You know, Trevor, this young lady, Tyra Gittins, I'd love to see her break out and hopefully in the 2028 Olympic Games medal, because she is certainly multi-talented, and she did the what they call heptathlon in college.
Okay.
But she is pretty good, and I just hope she can get the coaching necessary, and she has the desire to become a world champion, because you have to have that desire, you know, Trevor, that drive
Yes.
to get you there.
But you know, John, in saying that, you know, I wonder about the possibility at a certain point where young budding athletes will be permitted to be adopted by business as maybe as a face or as a brand ambassador, so that they can get the necessary coaching that they need, John, because
Support.
support, yeah, and in that sense, the necessary financial support that that will take them to the levels that they exhibit at an early age. Because, as you said, you hope, and that hope hinges on generally on family ability to provide for their budding children, John. And that goes across the board. We have seen it in every instance, from young spelling bee champions who disappear from view, John, okay, from young musical geniuses who show the talent at a very early age, and then it wanes, you know, it gets buried, okay? it gets buried.
I lose interest, maybe.
Well,
Yeah.
yes, lose interest and lose cash, John.
Yeah. Anyway, Trevor, moving right along as we close again on a Wednesday afternoon with cricket history. And this time we're going to talk about Abbas Beige, born today in 1939, is among several Indian batsmen who made a century on debut, but never again.
Mm.
He hit 122 at Old Trafford in 1959. Not only was it the first, not only was he the first to accomplish the feat outside of India, but he was also the youngest at 20 years and 131 days to get a test century. England did win the match by 171 runs. And that's where I draw stumps on John Sports Corner this Wednesday afternoon on the Sosofat Media Network. Thanks so much for joining us, and tell a friend that we span the sports globe. But remember, folks, go to Winner's Circle store in the Sosofat shop and shop till you drop.